Howdy, folks. Welcome to Dangerous Ideas. I'm Lee Camp. As you can tell by the weird background, I am joining you from Tibet still. I'll be here another 10 days or so. And then, not long after that, I'll be back to regular live streams. I'll give you a little more update on that at the end of this quick segment. I wanted to do, considering I'm missing one of the largest stories in the country of the United States, the impending election, I wanted to do a little coverage of it. And so that's what this is, of who you should vote for. And I do call it an impending election because you usually talk about impending doom, and that's what this is, as opposed to like an upcoming election. It's impending, and it's been impending for multiple years now. But I just wanted to give you a quick reminder of a few things about this election. Because even you know how two things can be true? Like I can understand all of the things that I've said to you a million times over the years about how bought off our system is and about the two-party garbage and all this stuff. And still have moments where I'm reading, or seeing the headlines. I don't actually take the time to read them generally, but seeing the headlines of Trump's elected, worst thing ever. Kamala's elected. It's socialism. It's going to be rammed up your butthole. And Trump's elected. Then there's no more democracy. But right now, we totally have democracy. Even I can see 1,000 of those headlines and go, maybe someone's right. For about that long before my rational brain kicks in, It's like if you're 15 years past a terrible relationship and you go, what if I had stuck it? And nope. That is a great thing that is over. Anyway, I don't know where that analogy came from, but so I wanted to take a few seconds to just remind you what this election does or doesn't mean and who you should vote for. Now, let's start with first things first. If you're not in a swing state, there is about 150% reason. Can there be a percent reason? 150. I'm sorry, folks. It is hard to do everything I'm trying to do right now, but there's about I'm going to stick with it anyway. It's happening. There's about 150% reason that voting between the two corporate parties, when you're not even in a swing state, do you understand how little they give a flying fuck about you if you're not in a swing state? They don't even show up to talk to people not in swing states. Like, I live in Baltimore when I'm not in Tibet. I live in Baltimore, and I don't know if either of them have shown up to the state of Maryland like once. They don't give a shit. There are a handful of states that they care about. Trump has done something like 10 or 15 events in North Carolina over the past couple weeks. Like, that's what they care about. So if you aren't in one of those states and you're still going to vote for one of these corporate monstrosities, these parasites, these genocidal maniacs, what is happening with you? Is it like the bully that beats you up and you're like, I still think he kind of cares about me? It totally blows my mind for those who aren't in swing states. Even though, for those who are in swing states, your vote, first of all, still doesn't matter in a myriad of ways. But beyond that, or I'll come back to that. Even in a swing state, think about what you were choosing between all those two corporate candidates. These are the things that are going to, and this also speaks to the idea that everything changes after this election, right? Either Trump is going to take the world in this horrible direction, or Kamala is going to take the world in this horrible direction. And I cannot stress enough that it's going to be very similar. Either way. I'm not saying there aren't little piecemeal things here or there. Obviously, if Trump lets Elon Musk run roughshod over all regulation, then by making him the head of some sort of anti-regulation department, then you could end up with a little more pollution in the water or some more SpaceX rockets exploding over your house. Sure, there are the slight things here and there, but in general, let's look at the big things. For both of these candidates, Trump and Kamala Harris, you're going to get continued genocide. You're going to get exactly the same policies on genocide, which to me, there are two major issues in this presidential election, but not even in presidential election, just in the world in general right now. And the biggest ones are the genocide being perpetrated by Israel against Palestinians and climate crisis. These are the two. There are a bunch of others, some of which I'm going to list in a second, but I'm just saying, top red line, I'm not voting for anyone who is on the wrong side of those two issues is completely understandable for me. But everything's going to change after the election, right? Genocide staying the same. Climate crisis staying exactly the same. In fact, as I brought to you before, even mainstream outlets like Reuters have reported that the Biden-Harris administration has allowed more oil drilling, more oil production than even Trump did. That doesn't mean Trump was putting the brakes on oil production or drilling. No, he just generally is so incompetent and negligent and everything that they were not able to drill quite as much under Trump, kind of accidentally. Like, he puts idiots in charge of these. Sometimes you'd rather have an idiot in charge of some of these departments because they're not going to be able to do what those departments do. Like, if you put an idiot in charge of gas and drilling permits, they're probably not going to get as many gas and drilling permits approved because they're morons. So that's why probably Trump had a little less drilling than Biden-Harris. But of course, Obama bragged about laying more pipeline than the world has ever seen, et cetera, et cetera. And it wasn't a euphemism. So, okay, same on big oil and climate crisis, same on big banks, same on big ag, same on big pharma, basically. I know Trump likes to talk some things here and there about vaccines and stuff, but basically the same on big pharma. Nothing significant would change on that front. Foreign policy in general is going to be almost exactly the same. I've pointed this out many times that during Trump's administration, in the few moments where you were like, oh, he's doing something that is different from what the mainstream imperial guard wants him to do on foreign policy. There were a few moments where that happened. Those moments, as far as I can recall, were he said he was going to take the troops out of Syria. He said he was going to take the troops out of Afghanistan. He said he was going to make peace with North Korea. And he did some slight movements to those ends, but every time he was stopped. Every time. Because it's not easy to stop him, because he doesn't actually care, first of all, about these things. I mean, what you think he cares about? What, Syrian people? You think he cares about the people in Afghanistan? No. He was doing it because he knew that it was kind of popular amongst certain isolationists on the right, and so that's why he was trying to do it. Anyway, every time it gets stopped by the war machine. So that goes to show that the war machine is far deeper than whatever dumb face is put in the presidency. And, they succeeded at stopping him from taking troops out of Afghanistan by telling him that stupid Russian Taliban bounty story that was utterly false and debunked within about 3 seconds. And the entire nation of the United States went, oh, Russia's paying the Taliban bounties to shoot at American? Well, then we have to keep destroying that country forevers. You're going to have about the same foreign policy. Immigration, you're even going to have about the same policy on that, even though that is one of the big ones. That's one of the like top two people say I'm voting for is immigration. But Donald Trump actually deported less people than Biden-Harris have. Biden-Harris on some years have nearly doubled the number of people they've deported than Trump did. Now, again, a lot of that has to do with incompetence. Trump would have loved to deport more people. He puts idiots in charge of idiots. It's idiots all the way down. But again, sometimes having an idiot in charge of a department that you didn't want functioning well to begin with because you don't think that immigrant families should be torn apart, sometimes it's better to have an idiot than So again, you're going to have the same policies. I think economics is going to be basically the same. They're listening to what Citibank and all the others tell them to do. Let's remember the WikiLeaks document where Citibank essentially chose Obama's entire cabinet. BlackRock and Blackstone own most of what's going on in these administrations, along with the other major corporate goons. These are two disgusting parasites. And I know not a lot of you even see this video because the election's coming up and they can't let you see anything about elections that isn't their own dumb ads. So this video will be suppressed, I'm sure, heavily. And, Glenn Greenwald and some others have made this point for a while now that, and I think it's a good one, that we have not had a president for at least the past year. I mean, how long do you think Biden has really been cognizantly running things? I don't know if he ever was, but certainly not in the last year. We saw how he functioned in the debate, in other performances. He could hardly talk. So we know that the U.S. has not had a president really for the past year or more. And yet, have things changed significantly? No, the U.S. is a collapsing empire the same way it was 3 years ago and 5 years ago. And it's in some ways it's happening slow. I think the biggest development is things that have been done by Israel, but they're things that have been done supported by the United States. And Israel is furthering or quickening or speeding up or catalyzing the collapse of the empire, as is the proxy war in Ukraine. Because here's the thing is the election day, because they all try and count everything within 3 seconds, and it's impossible to do even with your garbage voting machines, which now has become a Trump talking point, even though I've been talking about how the voting machines are garbage for the past 15 years, and many others were as well. But even with the computer voting machine, all this stuff, they act like, oh, we've got to declare a winner the night of, and they don't even know what's going on. And it's between two people that agree on 99% of all the issues, even though they pretend they don't. And you're going to in the day of the election, the night of the election, the following day, I guarantee you, there's going to be tons of chaos. There's going to be, that Trump's going to declare himself winner no matter what. Kamala Harris will probably. She'll either declare herself winner or she'll say, let's wait till all the votes are counted and that kind of thing. But of course, it'll be madness one way or the other. No matter what happens, it'll be madness. And I just want to remind you guys that it's not going to be that different with either of these goons at the top of this system. And I know I haven't mentioned much in this third-party candidates because, that wasn't really what this video is about. I am not running for third-party presidential, candidacy, so I can admit that, guess what? A third party is not going to win. But I always support voting for them because you can actually have a point. You can make a point. You can actually vote for something you believe in. So I have talked a lot and interviewed all of them, Jill Stein, Claudia De La Cruz, Cornel West. They've all been on this show as well as their vice presidential candidates. And, right now you have Claudia De La Cruz and Jill Stein working together. They've done some statements together, et cetera, saying there's certain states, I don't have the list here, that they basically, one saying you should vote for Jill Stein if you were going to vote for Claudia, and you vote for Claudia if you're going to vote for Jill Stein, in certain states where they feel they're close to having an impact or being close to 5% or whatever. And you can find which states those are on their Twitter accounts. But I know they aren't going to win. So that's why I didn't make this video about third-party candidates. But I believe they're very important. I believe the messages they get out are very important. The ideas they get out are very important. And, I don't feel any good has been done by continuing to vote for the two genocidal maniacs. Sorry. I have red lines. And for me, genocide and climate crisis and a few others are red lines. And it doesn't matter what else is going on in the world. I ain't supporting that. I think I've squeezed in here as much as I can. But just a little more on what's up with me. I have 10 more days in this trip. And then hopefully I'll be able to get to a live stream within a day of getting back. This has been crazy and already, I'm only halfway through it. It's been a crazy and challenging trip. I thought I'd be able to do a few more videos, but it's basically, we're working wall to wall with a full documentary crew to put together these videos. And so I'm writing, I'm trying to survive in 15,000 foot altitude where you get 40 or 50% of the oxygen you normally get. All the various food issues. I don't eat meat, and China is big on meat. It's just about every dish is some form of meat. Now China's not the only one like that. There's a lot, but so, I'm just listing some of these, there's a 12-hour time difference. So I've got to reverse my day. We're working like 13-hour days, and then the rest of the time I'm just trying to survive. But so I'm sorry I haven't been able to get more videos to you. Obviously, I hope you caught the videos. Eleanor Goldfield has been hosting the live stream a couple of days a week, and that's all at youtube.com/moment of clarity or rumble.com/leecamp. And I hope you will keep enjoying those. And I did put up a bonus article for people who are members at leecamp.net, my locals page, a short essay about Tibet. And I will see you soon. Hopefully, once the election shakes out, I'll have a short video responding to that. But anyway, keep fighting.